Hi there, and welcome to another episode of the Rowntree Gardens podcast. Today I have a special guest. I have John, who has so many different varieties of work that he's done over the years. He really tried a little bit of a lot of things, very exciting things that he was pretty passionate about, but maybe the money wasn't there when he was in those fields. But a very interesting guy. We could probably talk for hours. It was hard to keep this one nice and short, but I think you'll really enjoy it. So without further ado, here's John. Hi, how are you doing today?
Good, how are you?
Good, good. My name is Elias. I'm the Community Life Director here. What's your name?
John McNeil.
Thank you so much for joining us today. Today's going to be kind of a light interview. We're just going to ask you some questions about your life and some of the things that you've done in your life. So we'll start off nice and easy. Where did you grow up?
Grew up in Southgate, California, which is about maybe 10 miles north of here.
Yeah, nice and close. Your whole life, have you been in California?
Yes,
Okay, California, born and raised.
done some traveling business-wise, but basically, yes, here.
Okay, wonderful. And then did you go, what did you do for work?
Actually, when I started, I worked for North American Aviation
Oh, wow.
in Downey, California, and I worked as a technical artist while I was going to school, and that was a lot of fun.
And what does a technical artist do?
Think of it as drawings that you would find in a book,
Oh,
a manual that would go with spacecraft or aircraft.
whoa,
and
that's
it-
awesome.
Yeah, you would have everything accurately displayed so that an individual who was in the cockpit of a plane or spacecraft could identify what he was looking at.
Wow, that's your first job, was to do
Yes.
technical? How cool is that? That's
Yeah,
great.
it was good.
And then what happened after that?
Left that and went into engineering with North American.
Okay.
Worked there for a while and actually left that. And this is a far reach. My hobby had been racing,
What kind of
sports
racing?
car racing.
No kidding.
So I went to work for Krager Industries, which was in Compton, California.
Okay.
And they made Bell helmets and they made Krager wheels.
I see.
And I worked in research and development,
Wow.
designing wheels and racing equipment, that kind of a thing.
Whoa.
And then also would support the company at racing events, which was a lot of fun.
Yeah, that sounds great.
We traveled.
You brought your hobby into your work life, huh?
Luckily, yeah. Unfortunately, that industry did not pay well at the time,
Oh, okay.
as at least what I thought was well. So after a few years of that, I left and went with a phone company, as I had had some background in the facilities end and telephone network designing.
I see.
So I worked with Bell Telephone and AT&T, and that went on for quite a few years, and left them and went to work for, not Iraq, but I can't think of the name of it, but it was a petroleum company
Oh, okay.
out of the Middle East. And that went along good for quite a while, and then they decided to pull all their resources in back into the Middle East,
I see.
and they left everyone here on their own.
Gotcha.
So went back to work with a phone company at that time
I see.
and other companies.
Wow.
Santa Fe Drilling, which was Santa Fe International.
How interesting. Wow,
Yeah.
you really got to taste a lot of
Yeah.
different fields, huh?
Right.
Let's go back to your hobby. You mentioned that you worked at where they developed helmets and wheels, and I think I cut you off when you were going to talk a little bit about traveling. Did you do some traveling with the racing teams?
Yes.
Tell me a little bit about that.
Well, we would travel, the company as a technical representative to the teams. If they had a problem, it was up to us to come up with the answer.
I see.
Or if we didn't have the answer, if it was someone else's equipment, usually we knew who it was and who to contact.
I see.
And it wouldn't be public, but we could get a hold of somebody that could solve the problem.
I see. And what kind of racing was this? Was this like NASCAR or was this kit car?
International sports car. I'm trying to think of some of the teams. McLaren was one
Oh,
of the
whoa,
teams.
McLaren?
Yeah.
Wow, that's a big name. That's like a Formula
Right.
One racing type of team.
Jim Hall Racing out of Texas.
Wow.
Roger Penske's teams.
Yeah. Oh, big names.
Yeah.
How wonderful. That must have been so much fun.
And they would also go to Indianapolis and a large circuit
And
racing.
and you liked to race as a hobby,
Yeah.
and then you got to go to the professional things while you were working at the time.
Correct.
And
Not
what-
as a driver, but as a technical consultant,
And what kind of racing did you like to do as a hobby?
sports cars.
So did you own one? How did that work?
Yeah, I had a Porsche early on
Oh, wow.
and
That's
got
awesome.
involved racing that and liked it a lot and did reasonably well. But in those days, if you wanted to race, you had to make a commitment to do that. And unfortunately, did not pay well,
I see.
and you were gonna starve to death between here and there.
I see. Interesting. Okay, so that industry wasn't as big as it is now.
Oh, correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because now,
the teams, everyone on the team makes great money now.
yeah, I mean, millions of dollars are put into these racing
Yes.
teams. Wow. So you just missed the boom.
Well, it was okay. I learned a lot, I had a lot of fun. Met a
Wow.
lot of great people. Unfortunately, most of them are passing away as we move along.
I see. Well, so you started with spacecraft engineering, you went into racing, I mean, very high energy, very exciting type of things. And then you kind of moved along to maybe a slower pace, but how was the phone company as far as, did you happen to do anything that we're using today or any developments?
Oh, yeah. We had, not only did we develop, but we had, one case was we developed a way of extracting the information we needed on who was calling who. Now, when I say that, it's not as individuals, but if Santa Fe International was a good example, we had an office in New Jersey. We had one in Texas, a couple in Texas. We had California, Central California, and then down in Los Angeles area. And we determined what the traffic was between each office. And then we developed a network that would carry that traffic that was owned by Santa Fe International.
I see.
And most large companies are using that equipment now and
Cool.
the software.
Wow, that's amazing. That's
Yeah.
awesome. Okay, so always involved in kind of some cutting edge things, it seems like.
Yeah,
That's exciting. And then did you continue your hobby of racing throughout your entire career, or what
No.
other hobbies did you get into?
no, I worked on some friends' cars
Okay.
and went with them, but not as a driver, but just, development work. And we did that, and that was it. I mean, I did not
Get back in.
push it.
Gotcha.
I was too busy
Sure.
and traveling a lot, particularly Santa Fe International and those offices. And then I moved into I can't think of the company off the top of my head. It was an extension of, can't think of it,
That's okay.
the
That's
company.
okay.
But anyhow, did that, and in that one, they had like 85 offices in the West
Oh, so
between Hawaii,
Oh
and,
my.
Central to Southern California, and part of Arizona, part of Nevada. So that's a lot of offices.
So you were going in between
We
them.
developed all their communications, their television, the whole works.
Wow, that's exciting. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness. All right. Well, was there any other hobbies you developed over time that you liked to do outside of work?
Photography, did a lot of photography everywhere,
Yeah.
both races and just travel wherever we were. That was always fun.
Okay, that's great. Were you any favorites? Anything that you particularly like to photograph or things you would?
I liked architecture a lot.
Okay.
People were interesting, but it varied from city to city, and a lot of them were the same almost,
Okay.
depending on the locale. If you were out of the States, you could notice a difference between people, the way they dress,
I see.
everything.
Wow. Okay. A man of many talents.
Yeah.
And and then you mentioned traveling. Did you do any traveling outside of work? Did you get to go out and to different parts of the world?
Yeah, Santa Fe had a situation they call getting your ticket punched. And
Okay.
you weren't going anywhere in the company unless you had gotten your ticket punched.
Okay.
And I did not know what that was. So when the time came, I got called in the front office. There was a problem in Kuwait. And they asked me, they said, have you ever been to Kuwait? And I said, no. And I knew what was coming because I knew what was over there and what was happening. And so I asked the question, and I just asked it. I mean, I did not have a problem. I just said, is it a problem if you have a Israeli stamp in your passport in Kuwait? And they dropped the subject and went right on, never brought it up again, because there was a situation over there where they were virtually at war. And the last place I wanted to be was worried about an Arabian oil field when they're having a war. I figured
Yes.
that's your problem, you stay there.
Wow. You got out of that one very
Yes.
cleverly. That's great. Oh my
I
goodness.
never said another word about it.
And it was very subtle. You didn't say
Yes.
anything over it. That was great. Wow. Well, I feel like you have so many talents and so many stories, Mr. McNeil, but I think I'd like to close us with maybe some advice you might give to the youth that might be entering into the workforce or trying to decide what they'd like to do. Do you have any advice from your experiences in life?
Yeah, try to take care of your body a little. Unfortunately, I stretched mine to the limit. I played a lot of sports, and I did that with companies I worked with. Most of them had sports teams. And when you do that, I have 2 knees that don't work anymore, 2 shoulders that don't work very good, and I've never had them replaced, and I probably should have way back when. And I didn't, and I'm paying the price now.
Gotcha.
That's how I ended up at Rowntree.
I see.
Walking failed me, and I've had to really learn to walk again. And just take care of yourself.
Take care of yourself. Take care of your body.
Yes,
You only got one. Okay, very good.
true.
Okay. Thank you so much for your time, Mr. McNeil. I really appreciate it.
Yes,
Have a wonderful
glad
rest of
to
your
do
day.
it.
Thank you.
Thank you.